of today is Email Durkheim. So today we will begin with thinker thinker section in the syllabus of UPSC, and our first thinker is Emile Durkheim. Okay, so Emile Durkheim is a very big topic. Within this, today we will be dealing with social facts only. We will only discuss social facts and that in a comprehensive and complete manner. Okay, so this thinker section I will be dealing with topics one by one, and we will be dealing with these topics in great detail so that we get a complete knowledge of these thinkers of what their ideas are. And in sociology I believe that if any topic, any questions comes in the exam, and if you know about thinkers, if you know about their ideas, you can tackle that question even if you have not read that question per se. Okay, so in today's video I will be discussing about social facts, its definition of social facts, that what they are. Then we will be discussing characteristics characteristics of social facts. Then why Durkheim studied social facts. Okay, we will also be dealing with these questions. Then we will be dealing with the types of social facts, and we will be dealing with all these with the help of examples. I will be explaining all these in great detail with the help of examples so that you get a comprehensive knowledge of all these topics. Another topic that I will discuss is rules of sociological method given by Miles Durkheim. It's related to social facts, and that's why I will be taking it here. Okay, so all these subtopics we will cover in today's video. So let's begin. First is social fact. Okay, so social fact is made up of two words. One is social and other is fact. So first of all, what is a fact? A fact is like objective reality. It's an objective reality that I already have explained in other video. That is, it is something that exists independently. Independently, okay. So this is something that exists independently. It does not depend. It does not depend upon our perception. It does not depend upon our perception, our bias, our feelings, our stereotypes, our prejudices, or our opinions. It does not depend on all these things. It means fact is something that has its own existence, its own existence. Okay. For example, let us take an example, the example of raining. Okay. So we know that whether we like or dislike, raining happens. Okay, so rain comes according to the seasons, and whether we like it or dislike it, it's a fact. Okay, it's a fact. Similarly, dowry dowry practice. Okay, the dowry is a evil practice, is a social issue in India, and whether we like it, whether we dislike it. Most of us dislike it, but it still exists in the society, so it's a fact of social life. Okay, so one is fact. Fact is something that exists, whether we like it, whether we dislike it, whether it's right or wrong, whether we consider it as good or bad. It exists. It exists beyond our thought, beyond our perception, beyond our likes and dislikes. Second, second word is social. Okay, second word is social. So social means that this fact is social. It's not like raining. Okay, it's not climatic fact. It's not an economic fact. It's not a philosophical fact. It's not even an individual fact. That individual means psychological fact. It's not a psychological fact, not a historical fact, but it's a social fact. Social means it's related to social life. It's related to social life of human beings. For example, dowry, marriage, language, laws, religion, caste. These things, these are social in nature. Okay, so this fact, social fact, is a fact of social life. So first you will write that social fact is a fact of social life. This is first thing, first part of definition that I am explaining, that what is a social fact. First line that you will write is that social fact is a fact of social life. It means that it's not a fact of climate, it's not a fact of natural world, but it's a fact of social world. Like it's not raining is not a social fact. Okay, similarly cyclone, it's not a social fact. Any disaster, natural disaster, it's not a social fact. Okay, laws of motion, they are not social fact. Okay, so social fact, which is social in nature, which is related to social world, which is related to human beings, and it's not an individual factor. Social also means, so first thing, social means that it is related to social world, and second, social means that it's not an individual. It's about groups of individual. Okay, it's about group life, not one individual, because society comes into existence when we take at least two people. Okay, when at least two people or more than two people interact with each other, so it's related to society, it's related to groups of people, not an individual. And second, it is related to social world. Now let's begin with the formal definition of social fact. Okay, this is social fact, and we will begin with formal definition. Okay, now the formal definition of social fact is that social fact is a way of acting, thinking, and feeling. Okay, I will explain these terms that are in commas. So, social fact is a way of acting, thinking, and feeling that is collective in nature. Okay, so this is the definition that we will be dealing with in today's lecture. That what is a social fact? First, I explained that social fact is a fact of social life. So, you first line you can write that social fact is a fact of social life, and after that you can write that according to Durkheim or according to positivist, a social fact is a way of acting, thinking, and feeling that is collective in nature. It means that collective, that is collective acting, feeling, and thinking creates social facts. So these social facts, they are product of collective acting. When collective acting means when all or most of the people, a group of people, they act in a similar manner, then a social fact is formed. If most of the people they feel in a similar manner, they feel the same way, we get a social fact. If most of the people they think in a similar manner, then we get a social fact. That is, a social fact is created. For example, let's take the example of collective acting first. Collective acting. We will be explaining. I will be explaining this with the help of example now. So, collective acting means that most of the people, most or all of the people are acting in similar manner. Similar manner. Okay, all of the people are acting in the same way or similar way, or oblique in the same way. So, for example, if an individual, say, let's take the example of eye blinking. Okay, so if an individual blinks his eye, we can say that we can say that it's a biological fact. So if an individual blinks his eye, it's a biological fact. It's very much natural. It's part of human nature. But if if a large number of people in a society blinks blink their eye one and at the same time, it's become a social fact. It's become it becomes it become a social fact. Okay, so this is a beautiful example that if one person is blinking an eye, it's not a subject matter of sociology. Let him blink his eye, because our subject matter is social fact. Okay, so the subject matter of according to positivist, as I have already explained in previous video, is social fact. So if one person is blinking an eye, that may be the fact, biological fact, and it can be studied by biology, or it can be at most considered as a psychological fact, and it can be studied by psychologists. But it's not a subject matter of sociologists, because one person is blinking an eye. It's not a social fact, because for being social, we need at least two people. So if a large number of people, that is, if this eye blinking becomes a collective activity, that is, a large people number of people are acting in a similar manner, they are acting, they are blinking their eye, so it becomes a social fact. It becomes like a eye blinking ceremony. Okay, it becomes an eye blinking ceremony. So this is a very crude example, but we will be dealing with more beautiful examples. Okay, so this is first example of collective acting, how collective acting has created a social fact. Okay, so second example of this collective acting. For example, we talk about religious festivals. Okay, all these religious festivals, they are social facts. Why? Because most of the people, they act in a similar manner. For example, on Deepavali, most of the people, are a large number of people lit candles. So they are acting in a similar manner. Okay, they lit candles, they uh, use, or they crack firecrackers. Okay, they burn firecrackers. So a large number of people are doing this. So these become social fact. This is a social fact created by collective acting. That is, religious festivals are social fact that are created by social facting. And so collective acting. Similarly, when all the people they marry, okay, we know that all the people in our country or in our society, they marry at a particular age. Okay, so marriage is a social fact. You will find that very rarely, there are very rarely we find unmarried people. Unmarried people after say 35 years. Okay, in India, after the age of 35 years, we find uh, very rarely we find unmarried people. Most of the people they get married in India before 35 years of age. Okay, so it means that marriage, and that too before 35 years of age for male, and for female it can be, okay, it can be 30 years for female. Uh, This is just a crude example. The age may vary. So this is a social fact that you are expected to marry before 35 years if you are male, and before 30 years if you are female. Okay. So because all the people, most of the people, they do so. So it's a social fact for male as well as female. So marriage is a social fact. Okay. Next is, for example, migration. If person is migrating, if one person is migrating from rural to urban area, that is an individual fact. We will not study it. Okay. So one person, if one person migrate is an acting. Okay, is an act. If one person migrate, it's an individual fact. Okay. So a large if a large number of people migrate from rural to urban area, it's a social fact. Okay, so it's a social fact. We will study it. For example, for example, in our country, rural to urban migration is a social fact. Why? Because people, they go to urban area in search of opportunities, in search of good education, qualitative education. Okay, so large number of people are doing so. So it's a fact of social life. Some people go for seasonal migration, they go for working, some go for education. So it's a migration. It's migration is a social fact. Similarly, due to this social fact, we know that another social fact related with it is nuclearization of families. So in rural area, earlier there were giant families, but now in India, the families are becoming nuclear due to migration. So the nuclearization of families is a social fact that is also related to collective acting. Okay, so this is first point, that is collective acting. How collective acting creates certain these social facts. Second is collective thinking. Okay, I am explaining with example because I want you to grasp this topic of social fact, and in fact all these thinkers in a very comprehensive manner. Okay, so second is collective thinking, that how collective thinking creates social fact. For example, if more if for example, if a large number of people, think that, no, it's not act, it's think that God made the world. Okay, so what is this? This is a religion. Okay, this is a religion. So this religion is a social fact. Okay, we know that a large number of people today in India, they believe that yes, God has made this world, God has made us. So we all have some religions to follow. Some are Muslims, some are Hindus. So this is a social fact, okay, because a large number of people are believing in social fact, and if one individual does not believe in this fact, okay, so it will not change, this fact, it will not uh, change, or it will not affect the existence of religion, okay. So if one individual is against God, he believes that he's very much scientific. One or two or say 100 people, they are in favor of atheism, that they don't believe the existence of God. Even then, it will not change the existence of religion. Okay, so religion is a social fact, and we already explained that the fact is something that exists with whether we like it or whether we dislike it, whether we believe in it or whether we don't believe in it. So religion is a social fact that is a creation of collective thinking. Similarly, in India, we know that another social fact exists, that is caste. Okay, so many people, or most of the people who belong to Hinduism, they believe that God created from his body. Earlier believed. Nowadays, they are not many people believe in this. That God created from his body, from mind he created Brahman, and from shoulders he created Kshatriyas. Okay, from thighs he created Kshatriyas, and from okay, from shoulder he created Kshatriyas, from thighs he created Vaishyas, and from uh, feet he created Shudras. Okay, so this led to caste. This this view is accepted by many most of the people, and this has led to a social fact called caste. Okay, so nowadays people don't believe in it, but earlier this was a fact of social life, and social fact keeps on changing. Similarly, nowadays we know that many people believe that God has not created the world, but even then there are very few people, okay, in comparison to those who believe in religion. But if we take another example, say pandemic, say this pandemic happened, okay, COVID-19. So most of the people, they think that this COVID-19 has nothing to has no relation with our sins. Okay, because most of the people they know that this has a relation with virus. Okay, so most of the people think that COVID-19 is related to a virus, the corona, called corona, and this corona has led to COVID-19. Okay, this COVID-19 disease. But few people, they think that yes, this is due to the reason that we have sinned, and so God has created COVID-19 as a form of punishment. But most people think that it's a virus, so this is social fact. Okay, so in later part of the video, I will be discussing that when we violate social fact, then we observe certain kind of punishment or certain kind of coercion from the social fact. So if someone will say in media that we have sinned, and so uh, this God has created this COVID-19 as a form of punishment, that person, we will make joke of that person. Okay, so making joke is a form of sarcastic punishment. Okay, sarcastic punishment. So many of the people, they will laugh at that person, okay, or they will make memes on that person. This happened, in fact, a Molvi from Pakistan, he said this, that it is due to sins, and no, we know that most of the people consider virus is the cause, and so this is a social fact, and if we violate social fact, then as a form of coercion, there were means of that Molvis. Okay, so this is a kind of sarcastic punishment, a kind of informal punishment. So this we will discuss in later part of the video, that when we violate social fact, we uh, we realize the existence of social fact. So whenever we violate social fact, we feel certain coercion, we feel certain social pressure, we feel certain kind of formal or informal punishment, and at that point we realize that yes, this was a social fact that I violated. Okay, so at that point, till that point, we may not recognize, we may not realize that certain thing is a social fact. Similarly, I explained about Dori. So dowry, what is dowry? If many people in India they think that we should take dowry because we invest in the education of our male child, then we should get dowry. Then dowry will exist as a social fact. Okay, and this is happening in India, though it's a pathological social fact because it's considered evil. But earlier we know that this earlier in primitive society, in primitive society, dowry was not there. At that time there was the concept of bride price. So even now if we will go to primitive societies like in northeast, there are certain tribals, okay, in the Khasi tribals. So in those societies we find the existence of bride price because they are subsistence societies. Okay, so there is no surplus, and women there are considered as an asset, and in capitalism women are considered as a liability. So so if you are taking a liability, you accept dowry. If you are taking an asset, you give price, that is you give bride price. So these are the social fact, and that this is was the thinking, and this is the thinking of the people, most of the people in our country. And it's unfortunate, but this is the thinking. Whether we like it, whether we dislike it, dowry is a social fact. It exists in the society beyond our imagination, beyond our perception. Similarly, in those societies, bride price was the norm. Okay, so I already said that social facts they keep on changing. So let's take the next, which was collective feeling. Okay, I'm going very slowly in this part of the video, and I will go slowly in videos related to thinkers because I want you to grasp each and everything. So here is feeling when all the people or most of the people or a large number of people, the average number of the people, they feel in a similar manner, then it's become a social fact. For example, if all the people feel that they are integrated, okay, that there is integration in the society, and that there is solidarity in the society, then that solidarity becomes a social fact. So solidarity is a social fact. It was studied by Emile Durkheim. Okay, so Emile Durkheim studied solidarity, and we know that law, this solidarity in its concrete form, it is represented by law, and so Emile Durkheim also studied law. So laws, rules, regulation, they are the best representation, or we can say collective representation. They are the collective representations that help us in observing, that help us in observing collectivity or collective consciousness. These are the terms used by Emile Durkheim. We will deal with these terms collective consciousness and collective representation when I will teach division of labor. Though right now you can just say that collective representation, the example is law, they help us in observing collective consciousness. And the example of collective consciousness is solidarity. Okay, so solidarity is a social fact, collective consciousness is a social fact, collective representation, they are social fact, and they help us in observing another social fact, that is solidarity. Okay, so these sociologists, we know that they study social fact, but all social facts are not observable. And according to Emile Durkheim, we will study even those social facts that are not directly observable. This was the difference between Emile Durkheim and Auguste Comte. Okay, Auguste Comte considered only those social facts that are directly observable, but Emile Durkheim considered facts, social facts like solidarity, like collective consciousness, that are not directly observable, but we take the help of collective representation. We take the help of those social facts which are directly observable, and in relation to those social facts, we develop cause-effect relationship, and we will study even those non-material social facts. Okay, so similarly, if all the people in India, or most of the people, or say most of the Hindus, if most of the Hindus, they feel that Hindus are in danger. Okay, Hindus are in danger in India. That is, Hindus खतरे में हैं. अगर if most people think this way that Hindus खतरे में हैं, so this will become a social fact. The fear of these people, it will become a social fact created by collective feeling. And anyone, if he will violate this social fact, then he will feel certain kind of punishment. Okay. So the example is Kunal Kamra. Okay, Kunal Kamra or other comedians who go against this kind of social fact, they feel certain kind of punishment. Okay, so if all the people feel that they are a nation, okay, are they, if all the people feel that a particular political party is highly corrupt, yeah, was highly corrupt, okay, so this becomes a social fact. Okay, so most of the people are seeing a political party as corrupt. So if some person are not seeing and some person are voting their party, those people will be subjected to certain form of coercion by that society. Okay, these social facts are the social fact of society only. They are not social fact of whole country or whole world. The social fact, they operate in a particular society. So society is related to social fact. Okay, so similarly we have, if all the people feel that there is no integration, okay, if all the people feel or most of the people feel that there is no integration, then there is no integration in society, that there is poverty in society, if all the people feel like this, and we will find that suicide rate will increase. So suicide rates, integration, poverty, these all are social fact. And suicide rate, how this social fact is related to this social fact, this also becomes clear from this. So these were some of the example. Another example is, if all the people feel that women should not go to school, should not go to school. Say you are living in a society where most of the people feel that most of the people are patriarchal and they feel that women should not go to school. So if you are a father, say you are a father and you want your girl to go to school, so you will feel a kind of punishment, a kind of sarcastic punishment, or you will be outcasted. Okay, you will be outcasted. Similarly, your girl will be harassed, you will be harassed, you may be forced to migrate. Okay, similarly, if person, if a Dalit student is going to school in a society that is dominated by upper caste people, then his feeling, okay, that may go against the feeling of collective, that may go against the collective feeling, and he may be subjected to certain kind of punishment. Okay, so these are some the examples of social fact, and I have explained the definition of social fact, that social facts are those facts. Social fact is a way of acting, thinking, and feeling that is collective in nature. Now I think I have made this point clear. I have made these points clear. Okay, another example, another definition, part of definition that I explained is that social fact is a fact of social life that I already explained. So now next is next are the types of social the characteristics of social fact. Okay, so next part of the video is characteristics of social facts. So we are studying these social facts as studied by Emile Durkheim, because this is a part of Emile Durkheim. Okay, so I already said that the difference between Emile Durkheim social facts and Auguste Comte is that, according to Emile Durkheim, certain social facts are not directly observable, but sociology will study even them, and that they make part of subject matter of sociology. Okay, so the first characteristic is that social facts are related to collectivity, or they are collective in nature. Okay, so that I already explained. Okay, that they are related to collective thinking, collective feeling, and collective acting. The second is that social facts are external. Okay, they are external to individual, external to an individual. So here we will study what is meant by external. Okay, so let's make this point clear, that what is mean by social facts are external to an individual. So I will be explaining this external in detail. Okay, so this external can mean two things. First is, we know that we human being, or we individual, we take when we take birth, when we are born. Okay, so by birth we are a kind of thrown into a strange society. Say I was born in India. Okay, so never get to choose that where I will be born. Okay, I was born to this Indian society, and I didn't have a choice. So all these rules, these laws, of Indian society, all these customs, these moral, these ethics of Indian society, they are external to me. They are imposed upon me. Okay, they are external to me, and they are imposed upon me because I never got a choice. Okay, imposed on me. This is the first meaning of what is being meant by external. The second meaning is that these social facts are they are external to the mind of an individual, mind of an individual. So our mind, we know it consists of feelings, consists of bias, it consists of stereotypes, it consists of perceptions, it consists of opinions, it consists of ideologies, it consists of prejudices. Okay, so it consists of likes and dislikes, likes, dislikes. Okay, so social facts, they are external to all this. They are external to the likes, dislikes, opinion, perception, stereotypes, ideologies, prejudice, etc. of an individual. It means it means they have their own existence. They have their own existence that I already explained. Okay, it means they have their own existence. For example, some of the example that will make this point clear are, for example, say about sex ratio. Sex ratio is a social fact. Okay, so sex ratio is a social fact. It's external to an individual. So it does, whether sex ratio will increase or decrease, an individual's perception and individual opinion will have no impact on that. An individual cannot increase or decrease the crime rate in this society. Okay, the rate of crime, it's a social fact. Similarly, according to Emile Durkheim, the suicide rate, If an individual, or if say 100, 200, 300 individuals, they decide that they will not never commit suicide, it will not impact the suicide rates in the society, because suicide rates are related to other social facts like integration and regulation. Okay, so if integration will increase in the society, then the suicide rates will decrease. If regulation will increase, suicide rate will increase. Okay, so there are four types of suicide that we will study later on. So these suicide rates, they are external to an individual. Crime rate external to an individual. Sex ratio external to an individual. Whether we accept, whether we want them to decrease or increase, they will not depend on individuals perceptions. Okay, similarly language. Okay, so language is a social fact. If you like or dislike a language, you are bound by it, you have to speak it. So for example, I speak Urdu. Okay, so I speak Urdu, and in my society, say almost 99% are people are speaking Urdu. So if I have to live in that society, I have to speak Urdu. Okay, I have no other way of speaking with say my society, so I cannot live without speaking Urdu. Okay, because I am a social actor. I have to live socially in that society, and language is a social fact. It's external to an individual, because an individual has not made the language. An individual cannot change the grammar of the language. Okay, an individual cannot, lead to the abolition or lead to the changes in that language. An individual simply cannot change a word or cannot change the meaning of a word in a language. Okay, so uh, if the cat is for Billy, okay, say if the word cat is used for Billy in Urdu, so you cannot, an individual cannot cannot say that no, dog means Billy. Okay, because this is a social fact. Most of the people, they think that yes, cat is the word for that particular animal, so an individual cannot change that. So this is external to an individual. The language is external to an individual. Similarly, we have legal codes. Similarly, we have laws. Okay, so if an individual like or whether an individual like or dislike, these laws exist. These laws are abolished. These laws are changed by the collectivity represented by our parliament. Okay, so that will change it whether you accept or not. For example, Article 370, the most controversial article. So this was abolished, and many people, they were against the abolition of Article 370. So whether you like it or whether you dislike it, whether you are in favor of Article 370 or not, it is a fact, it is a social fact that Article 370 has been abolished, and it will not have any effect in the society from since August 5, 2019. Okay, so Article 370 has been abolished, and it's a social fact, and it's external to an individual. Whether you like it or dislike, this law has been abolished. Okay, so similarly, I have given the example that laws are social fact and they are external to an individual. Similarly, I already explained dowry. Whether you like it or dislike it, this is external to you. You cannot change the practice of dowry. If an individual does not give dowry, so it will not have any impact on the practice of dowry. Okay, even we have made laws related to the abolition of dowry, but dowry still exists in the society, because people think most of the people think that dowry is useful. Most of the people think that dowry should be taken, and that's unfortunate, and that's why dowry still exists in the society. Okay, so let's begin with the third characteristic. Second was external, and the third is, this is the most important, I think, that will help that will help you to grasp the concept of social facts. So they are coercive in nature. That is, social facts are coercive in nature. What the, what does this mean? It means that if they are violated, if you are violating social facts, if they are violated, then the violator who violates the social fact will be subjected to certain kind of punishment. Okay, so that punishment oblique coercion oblique social pressure. Okay, if you are violating, then you will be subjected to certain kind of punishment, certain kind of social pressure, or certain kind of coercion. I will explain it after point number third. So third point is Emile Durkheim says. Emile Durkheim says this is the most important point. You recognize or you realize the existence. You realize the existence of social facts when you violate them. So until and unless we violate social fact, we may not realize that this is a social fact. But as soon as we violate social fact, we are subjected to certain kind of social pressure or coercion or punishment, and then we realize, oh, I have violated a social fact. This was a social fact. For example, let us take example. Say you are a male or you are a female. Say you are a female and your age is 35 years. Okay, and you have not married. You have not married. Then you will realize that okay, that you have violated a kind of social fact, that it was a social fact that females are expected to marry prior to 30, say 30 years, but you are of 35 years and you have not married. So people are subjecting to you to certain kind of social pressure. For example, you may be subjected to harassment. You may be subjected to sarcastic punishment. People will make joke. Okay, sarcastic punishment. People will make joke of you and your family. Okay, people will speak ill of you and your family. People will talk about your character. They will say that your character is loose, that you are not getting a suitable husband, that people are rejecting you, that you have. They will talk about your health. They will talk about your uh, capacity or ability to reproduce. Okay, ability to have children. Okay, so people will talk about these things, and all these things are kind of social pressure. They are kind of social coercion. So you will realize that, oh, you have violated a social fact of life of your society. Similarly, if you are a male and you are not marrying, you will be subjected to these kind of social pressures. Will be subjected to these kind of coercion. Okay, so this is coercion, that is social fact. They are coercive in nature. You will be subjected to certain kind of punishment if you will violate those. For example, if you know that the religion is a social fact, and if you violate, if you talk against the religion, so you will be subjected to the charge of heresy. And earlier, in the period of Renaissance, you know that during the period of dark ages people were they were executed, they were burnt alive. And nowadays you will be charged with blasphemy if you speak against the prophet of Islam in Pakistan. You will be subjected to blasphemy. Okay, similarly, if you marry a person. Okay, similarly, if you marry a person from another caste or religion. Okay, that is in case of intercaste and inter these example you can quote in exam. Okay, so in case of intercaste and interreligion marriages, we know that if you are a person from one caste and you marry a person from another caste, then you will another caste, that is a lower caste, say, then you will be subjected to certain coercion. It is possible that in India there are issues of honor killings. Okay, You and your family may be boycotted. Okay, you may be outcasted. People will not take food from you. People will not deal with you. Okay, will not give services to you. So this is the issue with intercaste marriage. Similarly, we know that interreligious marriages, so they are subjected to certain kind of punishment. For example, nowadays there is issue of love jihad. Okay, if you are a Muslim and you marry a girl of Hindus, then even now there are certain laws made on love jihad. So you, whether you are a genuine, whether yours is a genuine case, this is not a case of love jihad, but people will treat as if this is love jihad. Okay, so this is a kind of coercion. This is a kind of social pressure. Similarly, you know that when Athar Amin, the second ranker, when he married Tina Dabi, so there were the people of upper caste. People of upper caste, they sent certain letters to the parents of Tina Dabi that this marriage should not take place. So there was issue of interreligious caste at that time, and people were opposing it. They were asking for the Shuddhikaran of this Atharamin, and this is a crude example, but I give such example, such controversial example, because you will remember better when the controversial examples will be given. Okay. Similarly, let me take another example on question. Language. Language, I already explained, is a social fact. Okay, it's a social fact, so it's external, but as coercion is a characteristic of social fact, so every social fact is coercive. Okay, so language must be coercive, so language is also coercive. Is is coercive in nature. Okay, how language is coercive in nature? For example, it means if you violate rules of language, grammar of language. Okay, if you violate language rules, you will feel coercion, or you will get certain kind of punishment, or sarcastic punishment, formal or informal punishment. Say you are speaking in a language and you use wrong grammar, people will come and people will teach you that what is right and you are wrong. Okay, so people will make fun of you that you don't know English. If you I take the example of myself. My pronunciation is not good and I am speaking in English. So many of you, or many people, they often make fun of me that I don't pronounce the English words in a correct manner. So I feel that, oh, I have violated a kind of social fact. Similarly, you may have heard about sapphire. This is very important. You can write this in an exam. Sapphire and Whorf hypothesis. If you have watched a movie, an English movie called Arrival. This is an English movie. In that movie, they have talked about this hypothesis, Sapphire and Whorf hypothesis. So this hypothesis talks about the portion of the language. This hypothesis says that our cognition and our worldview, that how we view the world, what is our perspective of the world, what is our cognition, what is our concept of the world, uh, is influenced by, or is shaped by, is influenced or is shaped by the structure of the language. Okay, so what language we are using, that language determines our worldview. For example, let me make this point more clear. We know that we have certain words like policeman, fireman, okay, and male nurse. we have these word. Okay, so we have no word for a female, for a female who is in police. Okay, in English we have no word called police woman. Police woman is no word, so it gives a wrong impression. So if there is a female and she is in police, we cannot use police woman because this there is no word. Even if we want to use that word, there is no word for that. So this is a portion of language that we want to convey something but we can't. Similarly, if the woman is in fire, we can't. Okay, similarly our concept is that a nurse is always a female. Okay, so if we see a male and he is nurse, okay, so we have to we if we are talking about that nurse, who that male who is a nurse, and we are talking with someone else about that person, we will say that okay, that male nurse. Okay, if we will say that that nurse, the person who is listening to us, the person whom with whom we are talking, he will imagine a kind of a female in that suit, that he will imagine that he is talking about a female. So we have to use male nurse to convey what we are talking about. So this is also a kind of, you know, coercion, because male nurse is nowadays being used, but nurse itself is only used for females. Okay, so this is a kind of coercion. Similarly, in Arabic or in Urdu, we use the word hoor. Okay, and hoor, that in Jannat, the pious people, they will get hoor. Okay, so we this hoor is considered as this has given a world view that these who are females, okay, beautiful females. So it gives an expression, or it gives an impression that these whores are females. So there is no word for males, beautiful males in Jannah, which the pious women will get. Okay, so this many of the people has raised objection about the concept of hoor, that if male will get beautiful hoors in Jannah, what the pious female will get in Jannah. Okay, so there is no word called male hoor. Okay, so these are certain kind of portions of the language. Similarly, with language we cannot express emotion. We can't express our emotions in language. Okay, say I am happy, I use the word happy, but I cannot tell how much happy, the degree of happiness. I can't show you the exact degree of happiness, degree of my happiness. Okay, so this is a portion of language, and later on we one thing I will also explain. I will explain about Max Muller. He was a linguist, and he talked about language, and I read somewhere that he said that the portion of language has led to the emergence of religion also. I'm not sure about whether Max Muller said this or not, but I have read somewhere. Okay, but this is true that the portion of language, the portion of language has led to the emergence of religion. For example, when ancient man saw moon, sun, etc. Okay, they they felt very happy. Okay, they felt very happy. They wanted to show their emotions. They wanted to show their emotions. They wanted to express. They wanted to show, or they wanted to express their emotions of that happiness, of that feeling. Want emotions of happiness oblique that feeling. Okay, they wanted to express it, but they can't due to language, because in language you cannot express your exact emotion. So they created a religion. Okay, so they created religion. They created the concept that sun is a god. Okay, moon is a goddess, and they started worshipping these. Okay, so this is how you can link the portion of language even with religion. Okay, this was not needed in the topic of social facts, but I explained it that because you can use these portion of language somewhere when the question comes on language, or you can use in somewhere related to postmodernism. They also talk about language. The Leo Todd talk about, he's a postmodernist. He talk about language. You can use there, or you can simply know and you can write in the question as per the demand of the question, or you may not use these, but it's better to know these. Okay, similarly the nationalism, this is a collective fact. Okay, so you violate it. There is a concept of nationalism. Okay, that our nation is superior to another nation, that India is far, far, far ahead of Pakistan. Okay, this is a kind of nationalism, because in nationalism we think that we are superior. Okay, and it is collective in nature, so it's a social fact. So it's also coercive. It's also coercive because it's a social fact. So violate it. If you violate, if you violate it, say you speak against India, or you speak in favor of Pakistan, you will be subjected to coercion. Okay, you will be subjected to coercion. That coercion can be sarcastic, that coercion can be formal, that this coercion can be formal. Formal say you are charged with sedition, and informal is people will make memes of you, your people will call you anti-national. Okay, people will boycott you or outcast you. People will not watch your movies, not give you job. Okay, people will not buy vegetables from you if you are a street vendor. These things have happened in India. Okay, I'm not supporting or and I am not against anything. I am just a student of sociology. I am giving controversial, and I deliberately give controversial examples so that you understand it better, so that you remember it for long time. The next characteristic was the number fourth characteristic of social fact is they are independent, or they are sui generis. Social fact are sui generis in nature. Sui generis means that, let me just, excuse me for 1 second. Okay, let me take the other color. This is also an important point. So sui generis means that social facts are not just the sum total of individuals acting, feelings, and thinking. Okay, so we know that we said that collective thinking, collective feeling, and collective acting create social fact. So we cannot say that one individual is thinking, the other individual is thinking, the other individual is, and if we take the sum of all these thinking, then this will be a social fact. Now social facts are not just the sum total of individuals thinking, feeling, and acting, but they are more than that. But they are more than that. I will explain it. Okay. Similarly, you can say this about about society. Okay, society is also not a sum total of individuals. Okay, then you will write here individuals, but it is more than that. For let me give an example. Say, I will give the example of water. We know that water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so we know that two molecules of hydrogen, two and one of oxygen, they combine and we get water. Okay, H2O is water. But you know that this water, which is made of hydrogen and oxygen, is totally different from properties of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, you cannot say this is hydrogen or this is oxygen. This has its own existence. Okay, this is water and it is not simply the sum of hydrogen properties and the sum of oxygen properties. Okay, water has its own properties, its own existence. In the similar manner, the social facts, this society, we cannot simply break it into number of individuals and can't say that this is sum of individual. No, this is wrong perception that sum of individual is society. Society is sui generis. Society is more than that. So if you are five people, you make a rule, okay, and you all say that we will obey this rule. You have formed a kind of NGO or association, then that NGO association or that rule becomes cohesive. It gets its own existence. It becomes like water, and you it's not simply the sum of you five individual. Okay. Similarly, if you form a business firm, you register it, then the business itself becomes more than the sum total of the laborers, the managers, or the owners. Okay, so you cannot say that sum of all these person is business. Business gets its own existence, it gets its own property, it has its own laws. Okay, so similarly, social facts, they are not just the sum total of individual. Okay, the fifth property, the fifth characteristic of social fact is they are general in nature. General in nature. So there is nothing in this characteristic. This is very simple. General in nature. It means that they are spread over whole society. It means that in most of the society you will find these social facts. They are generally found all over the society. Generally found in all the society. Generally found in this society. You cannot say that in North India, if we are talking about North Indian society, you cannot say that this social fact is found here and not there. That generally it is accepted that they are found all over the society. So these were the characteristics of social facts. The video is getting longer, but I will explain in detail. If you are getting bored, you can increase the speed or you can watch it in intervals. Okay. So let's talk about the next topic, and that is why Durkheim studied social facts. So Durkheim studied social facts. The first reason is he wanted to differentiate. Okay, this is the first and the only reason. He wanted to differentiate. This is just the one of the reason. Okay, and the most important reason, you can use it when the question comes on relation between sociology and other sciences. That I have not made a video on that because that's very simple. You can just read, or I will make if I will get time. So you can say that he wanted to differentiate sociology or subject matter of sociology from other disciplines of that time, like psychology and philosophy. Durkheim wanted to make it clear that sociology is different from other disciplines like philosophy and psychology, because many of the psychologists and philosophers of that time were making mockery of this discipline of sociology. They were saying that what sociology will study. We are already using, we are already studying whatever the sociology is saying, that sociologists are saying that they will study. So there is no need of a new discipline. These people were saying, but Durkheim wanted to make it clear that now, that no, sociology studied something which psychology and philosophy are not studying, that we are totally different. For example, when Durkheim said that social facts are external to individual, so it means that they are external to individual mind. Okay, we already talked about that. So if they are external to individual mind, it means that psychologists cannot study that. Psychologists cannot study social facts. They are not studying, cannot, or they are not studying social facts. Psychologists are studying whatever is in the mind of individual. But sociology studies whatever is in the mind of individual but is external in nature. For example, uh, you may have in your mind that you may be a patriarchal person, and you may also be a part of that society, and you may have in your mind that you will not allow your girl child to go to school, that you may have in your mind that they are not expected to go to school. But that's not your individual view. Okay, so that's collective in nature, because all the society, most of the society thinks in that manner. So that is collective in nature, because most of the people think the same way. So that's the topic, that's the subject matter of sociology, and not the subject matter of psychology. So psychology studies individual mind, whereas uh, sociology studied collective mind. Okay, sociology studied collective mind. This is one of the difference. Similarly, in philosophy, we know that there are utilitarians. They talk about liberty. They say that individual should be given complete liberty. Okay, individual should be allowed to operate freely in the market. Okay, and they say that individual happiness, if individual will be happy, individual happiness leads to collective happiness. Okay, I think UPSC has asked a question on that in essay. But durkheim says durkheim says social facts, they are external to individual, external and coercive. So coercive, it means the social fact regulate the life of the individual, and Durkheim says that individual is passive, and he simply accepts what is coercive on it. He cannot go against the society, because he will feel punishment. Most of the people, we know that in India they marry, when they marry before the age of 35 years, because they know nowadays that they will feel coercion. Okay, so most of the people, they are passive, they simply accept what the society gives them. Okay, so Durkheim is justifying this. Durkheim is justifying this, that yes, there should be certain coercion on the individual. So Durkheim is talking about coercion of the society, that is Durkheim is somehow talking about regulation of the individual, and Durkheim is against the concept of utilitarianism, which talk about individuals liberty. And utilitarians, they say that individual happiness leads to collective happiness, that individual should be given liberty, and that will automatically bring happiness in the society. But Durkheim says that if we will accept social fact represent collectivity, that if we will accept collective happiness, then it will lead to individuals happiness. Collective happiness will itself lead to individuals happiness. For example, if we follow the traffic rules, though they are very strict these days, then these traffic rules will help each one of the driver, because there will be less accidents. Okay, less accidents. So you are following a collective law. You are following a collective law, but it is helping all the people. Though the people may feel that no, the fines are have increased, we will not give these fines, but no, if you will give those fines, this will help you and also all the other people. This is just a crude example, but why Durkheim studied? Because Durkheim wanted to make to differentiate from other disciplines. So you can say that when a question comes, you can write that with the help of social fact or through social fact, through the concept of social facts, Durkheim, you can write this statement in somewhere in some question. Durkheim differentiated or Durkheim differentiated successfully. You can write successfully the discipline of sociology from other disciplines like psychology and philosophy. Okay, so this is all about why Durkheim studied social facts. Now we have two topics that are left that I said that I will complete. One is types of social facts, that is very important, and one is rules of sociological method. But I think that the video has become very long and you people will be bored, so I will make a separate video on this. That next part will come, and in that I will explain these two things. So for today I think it's sufficient. So tell me in comments section that whether you are getting what I am giving you, whether you are understanding what I am trying to make you understand or not. Okay, just tell me, because I will be motivated, I will work more and more for you people. Okay, thank you very much.